Just a brief note, much to the dismay of those who know me closely, I've decided to exclude the word awkward from this speech. Thank you. This past summer, I attended the National Youth Leadership Forum on Medicine through the Meg Page Fellowship, which is for students who wish to explore an experience related to healthcare. I hope that after hearing this speech, as well as the other speeches on the Kilbourne and Poole grants, a few more students will be inspired to explore their interests over the summer and will apply to any of the programs. Because of the Meg Page Fellowship, I've had valuable and eye-opening experiences with medicine. I've been interested in medicine from a very, very young age. In fact, whenever my first grade teacher released our class into the school's library in order to discover the joy of reading, yet we only pretended to do so while secretly trading Pokemon cards behind the bookshelves, of the kids who actually read, I was the only one who would choose anatomy books instead of your typical children's stories. At first, my knowledge of the human body impressed my teacher until one day during recess when I, with scientific accuracy, explained to my peers one of the most uncomfortable topics in biology for even most middle school science teachers, reproduction. I'm still not sure why they put a section on reproduction in an anatomy book for children, but hey, it happens sometimes, I guess. So there I was, an AJ Fields of about 5 or 6 years of age, standing on the jungle gym, explaining that I knew the true answer to the most controversial question of all childhood. I knew where babies really came from. Through my mom's intense embarrassment and frustration when she got off the phone with my teacher that night, I somehow knew that she was also proud inside. From that day, she always told me that I'd be a doctor when I grew up. The National Youth Leadership Forum on Medicine was an appropriate way to learn about a doctor's career, since the program gives an extensive overview of all parts of the global health system through both classroom and first-hand experiences. During my 15 days there, I learned enough about the medical field to confidently say that anyone who attends the program will leave knowing whether a career in medicine is right for them. In addition to touring several medical facilities in the Boston area, I had the opportunity to meet and learn from health professionals such as an emergency flight nurse, local physicians and surgeons, a professor who focused on bioterrorism responses, a medical researcher at the Broad Institute of MIT, a veterinarian at UMass who researched cancer through instances of the disease in rabbits, owners of public health organizations, and current medical students who were our teachers for the classroom sessions. In the classrooms, we simulated the medical school matching process, practiced internal medicine diagnostic scenarios, learned how to properly suture a banana, simulated the triage system in both a war crisis scenario and in a hospital, held a mock medical malpractice trial, and engaged in a formal medical ethics debate. And my team won our debate on sex selection. Props to Sarah Nyquist for helping me organize my argument. The overreaching theme of the program was best shown through the volunteers of the Safe Haven Project, who shared their stories about their lives with HIV and AIDS. The program runs summer camps on Martha's Vineyard and in North Carolina for children who are born with the disease. Also, the Safe Haven Project organizes community outreach programs to establish support systems for those living with the disease. The organization's coordinator came to speak with current NYLF students and to demonstrate how improving the lives of others can take place outside the clinic. After his speech, we broke into smaller groups through which one of the volunteers shared their story. Our group had the honor of meeting with Irene, who was an elderly woman who had discovered her condition later in life. Therefore, she could not trace back to the moment when she first contracted the disease. While her story was depressing and left several people in the room in tears, overall, she reinforced the purpose of the program. When she recalled how, when she went to the doctors, the most compassionate people who were most helpful to her struggle with HIV, I will never forget the words that she used to end her speech. She reminded us that if you really wanted to be a doctor one day, you have to remember that you are treating a person and not just a disease. After we learned all about the healthcare system, the culminating experience was to watch a live surgery. We all filed into an auditorium to witness an orthopedic surgeon perform a knee replacement. During the surgery, all NYLF sessions were linked to the surgeon via satellite, and we can ask the surgeon questions as he progressed through the operation. And of course, I had to get up and ask a question so I can use the fancy technology. Overall, the surgery was an interesting experience. Sorry to be graphic, but there the knee bone was, spread out on the operating table, stripped of any surrounding skin. The doctor answered any last-minute questions, then he secured the replacement knee to the bone. He grabbed a large nail-like structure, and with one forceful blow, I knew I would never be a surgeon. That was disgusting. Interestingly, the extensive information about the healthcare system available at NYLF allowed me to focus on another interest, public health. Before the program, I knew little about the political processes through which our country uses the CDC and the NIH to allocate healthcare resources and to respond to epidemics such as SARS or the mad cow disease. While I learned about several careers in the public health field, I hit a stunning realization that this was exactly the type of work that I had been doing at Taft through the CHAT program. After helping establish a student committee that has directed CHAT towards more successful programs during my sophomore year, I spent the last 2 years working closely with Ms. Orban, the program's director, to organize the health-related events. And now I look forward to hearing good news about the program next year under the student leadership of Gabby Faber. Overall, NYLF showed me that through the public health field, I can continue my efforts to promote health long after I graduate Taft and leave the CHAT program behind. So to conclude, the Meg Page, Kilbourne, and Poole grants allow students to have valuable summer experiences to supplement their education. I encourage anyone with even the slightest interest to apply for the grants, as they represent part of the Taft experience where we can learn and develop independently. There are infinite opportunities between these grants, and most certainly a valuable experience for everyone.
My name is Will Ziesing. I'm a senior, and this past summer I used a pool grant to go work on a sustainable ranch in Cody, Wyoming. I'm going to go play a little slideshow while I talk so you can all get an idea of where I was. Cody, Wyoming is not the usual destination for Tafties traveling west. I was quite far away from the likes of Vail, Jackson Hole, or simply Denver. I was in Cody, the self-proclaimed rodeo capital of the world. Cattle were certainly more plentiful than people, a fact highlighted by the $6 filet mignon on the restaurant menu. How's that for some supply and demand? Nevertheless, I was not in Cody to document the culture for us East Coasters. No, I was there to conduct environmental work. The days were long but enjoyable. My workday was 8 to 8. It involved feeding chickens, moving pipes, and occasionally we would spend a whole 30 minutes trying to put the chickens back in their coop. However, I spent the larger portion of my days on a restoration project. We all remember last year's snowfall, right? Well, this snowfall was a very real concern for the ranch I worked on. In order to avoid a catastrophic spring flood, they had built a levee to divert the adjacent Shoshone River away from their property. As part of the levee construction, the Army Corps of Engineers required that wetlands destroyed in the construction process be recreated somewhere else. That's where I came in. When I arrived, nothing but a new, barren pool of water existed. My job was to transplant species and document what I had added. Every day, I would drive off to different corners of the property, digging up plants, filling the back of an ATV, and then planting them all before the soil balls dried out. It's muddy work, hence my awkwardly high boots that you see in these pictures, but I began to see my barren shoreline come to life. Birds started landing in the pond, and grass I had put down started growing. Every few hours, I would lug a portable generator and pump around the pond and water a different section of it. The area was really growing in. The documentation part was required for an annual report that needed to be sent to the government. I became familiar with terms like slender hairgrass, alpine bluegrass, and the choke cherry tree. Identifying plants and animals from guidebooks is not very easy. I give professionals some serious credit. It's tedious work. I found the pool grant so rewarding because it gave me the chance to learn and experiment firsthand the things I had learned about in Mr. Lehner's AP Environmental Science class. Topics like water and fertilizer management were all very real issues at the ranch. I learned about the bad economic practices of overseeding because plants naturally reseed themselves if you give them time. And I learned about the unnecessary use of fertilizer. For example, the farm I lived on rotated their pre-slaughter cattle herd on a field with their chicken coop. After the cows came through, the chickens would break down the cow dung. Therefore, the ranch used no fertilizer. The grass growth, besides irrigation water, was entirely self-sufficient. These same cows were also used as lawnmowers. The owner of the ranch actually had a small two-seater bush plane that he used to access it on short notice. Instead of mowing the runway, the cows were simply left out on the patch of grass to give it a nice close shave. The Ranch Ozette was also very aware of water management. While this ranch sourced their water from mountain springs and not historic aquifers, other ranches use the river. While this may seem like a conflict with the flooding I previously mentioned, water is a limited resource in Wyoming. If it's removed unsustainably from the river, the agriculture and communities downstream will suffer quite a lot. In summary, the pool grant is a great opportunity. It gives you the chance to do cool projects in new places, but more importantly, I find that it is a great culminating experience to other environmental work that you may have done or not done at Taft. And so I'll leave you with this. Get outdoors, get your hands a little dirty, and give back. Thank you.